How long am I going to be gone? I've been doing this for about 15 years, so I'm thinking about taking 15 years off. As I've been taking this amount of time, it's equivalent exchange. We're just going to take a 15-year break, like just a quick 15-year break. That seems fair, right? If I've been doing this for 15 years, that seems fair. I'm only going to be gone for 10 days, but it's sort of like a tandem of things because I'm going to be gone for 10 days, which is the longest I've taken off of the stream since 2017. That's how long it's been. And like the pandemic sort of threw everything into a blender, being a father, all that kind of stuff, becoming a parent. I've had like 4 or 5 day trips every once in a while, but they were usually involved going to like theme parks and stuff like that. Didn't really feel like vacations. We'll be gone for about 10 days and just decompressing. Want to talk about like burnout and why so many streamers are like eager to retire in their 30s and stuff like that? Why so many of these like larger broadcasters are pretty much like working themselves to the bone to the point where there's no way that they're going to be able to do this stuff for very long, to the point where most streamers burn themselves out on even the things they love. It's a lot, and it's a thing that I've thought about a whole bunch for a very long time, of just how do I remain interested in all of this stuff when it's quite literally my life and my job. Luckily enough, I do love it. Like, I love fighting games, man. I love like impossible fighting game things happening and games coming back and all of this shit. Final Fantasy VII, like so much of this stuff. Burnout is no good. Well, I think Burnout's also good because it reminds you that you loved this at some point. What happened? Burnout sort of like will remind you that there was a passion here. Did that passion go away when this became a job? There's also been like a big shift in content lately in like the way that you watch videos and everyone around me. I'm also like just providing my part of it, but how so many people talk about how the older fighting games were so much better, right? But the new ones just don't do it for them. And it's mostly because the old fighting games, you did it with your own time, dude. Everything that you built up towards getting you to a point of either new content creators becoming, you know, their job to make content, all this kind of stuff, their passion was this thing. And then suddenly it became their job. And now there's like a new game or a new thing, and then the passion isn't there nearly as much, mostly like criticisms because you have to now play it religiously, whether you're competitive or not. Like now it's your job just to play this game instead of you just making a choice to play a fun video game. I kind of like made a conscious choice around the mid 2010s. I was looking at this space, and especially early on with like Marvel 3 and stuff like that, and I saw what was happening to my relationship for the game, and I hated that game. I absolutely hated that game because I had to play Marvel 3 online against people, dude. And it was one of the most grotesque, like, antithesis of fun situations that I have ever had to be into, where I have to fire up this game like once a week and just suffer playing online. And the online was so bad. Believe it or not, I did not get into a point where I had a healthy relationship with Ultimate Marvel 3, and I realized how much I loved that game until like the Parsec era, when we can actually play it online consistently with each other and not be pissed off. That was rough, man. I thought that game kind of sucked for several years until I got the chance to actually play it with like people and not have it be compromised, like severely compromised. Not a rollback situation, but still like to be able to fire it up and enjoy it with people. I think what's happening now, and this is like a overall burnout talk, which I'll get to some personal things. I recognize it in myself that if I forced myself to specifically play fighting games all the time, I was just not going to like this nearly as much. And it was like my job to make 2 to 3 fighting game videos a day back in like 2011, 2012, 2013. And I was like, Jesus, man, if I'm only doing this, I'm losing my mind. I am naturally a kind of person that needs variety just in general. If you ask me to eat the same exact prepared meal every single day, I would lose it, man. I lose a taste for that after 2 days. Some people aren't that way. Some people are just fully comfortable in doing like the exact same ritualistic thing over and over again. I'm just not, dude. Maybe Final Fantasy XI messed me up that much after playing that game for like, you know, a couple, 2 to 3 years. But for me personally, like I need other things to focus on, because ultimately speaking, if I hyper focus too much on one thing, I end up just seeing the negatives of it. And this is where my advice, much less my personal journey of doing this stuff for so long, Chat, I can tell you right now, dude, I don't know how I'm still in the spot I am with the viewership I have, with the respect in the industry that I have received, as gracious and understanding as an audience that I have somehow accumulated. I feel like I'm in such a unique spot in this entire like realm, this spectrum of the industry. Like, and I feel genuinely blessed, like absolutely, like, I don't know how I carved this out, but still all I've done is try to realize that that can all go away. So you have to work for it. You have to try. You have to constantly try. And that mentality of constant effort, always having to think about it, every single point, every single avenue, every single asset is something that, like, yeah, all right, I need to somehow disconnect from this. But at the same point, it made me realize, like, this can all go away at any point. I've been lucky enough where every single year over year, I've done better, man. I've either earned more, quote unquote, like money or returns, or given more opportunities or anything like that. Have had more subscribers, like all of that kind of thing, year over year over year. It's been some rough years, dude. There's some rough years where there was not many brand new things that were happening. And you had to, like, oh, to me, I kind of love those opportunities because they were challenging. Like, you had to like hunker down and realize, oh, nothing is happening right now. Like, there's no games that are coming out. There's like the biggest fighting game in an entire year was DNF Duel, for God's sake. So the dry season ends up becoming this unique chance to revisit all of the older fighting games that like we love so much. I found kind of a interesting carve in this space to like actually discover old games and bring them to the forefront. And it's like, hey dude, check this out. This is amazing. So yeah, it sort of tests your creativity. How do you make fighting games engaging when there's no brand new shit? That's tough, man. There was many years of that. And now we're sitting kind of good. Now it's like there's a lot of stuff, but it feels like there are so many options in the moment in this space that things are not actually doing great when I think they kind of are. I think things like are obviously not perfect, but I come from the mid 2010s era of content creation, man, where everything was brutal. Everything sucked. It was very few things there was to actually like celebrate. And the things that were celebratable were like, they get to focus on this for now. So anyway, I think we're in like a really good spot right now. I think it's not bad. Yeah, Tekken players are doom posting like crazy. Street Fighter players desperately want their game to be changed, like all of this kind of stuff. But to sort of wrap up this conversation of like burnout, I have witnessed so many different eras of content creation in the span of doing this, of being in the trenches around others, watch new heads and new people rise up, even in the fighting game space, and then eventually like peter out and not able to keep up with the entirety of this industry. I've watched like brand new people shine and be like the pinnacle, the heads of this, and all of a sudden one shift in how one game is handling one thing, suddenly their opinion is not valid anymore because they kind of like that game and that's what they're known for. It's crazy, man. A lot of fighting games have happened over the past like several years that have created careers, and I've watched people's careers like quite literally blossom and shine into content creation. But once that game starts to become not nearly the beacon of positivity at all times, because no game's going to remain at the absolute top of the, I would say, community perspective, it starts to go bad. There's an issue with having to stick with one thing. So anyway, my solution, without rambling too much, hopefully this is making a little bit of sense. I noticed back in the mid 2010s, as I was saying earlier, that when I hyper-focus one game, it's great for me, but it was not great for the overall, I would say, quality of the channel, much less quality of streaming. And I won't say this is probably because I made my audience this way because I also enjoyed this. My audience enjoyed variety. Didn't like seeing the exact same fighting game. I noticed my audience liked seeing things that were unexpected. When you just log into ranked every day and ranked is the goal and the one thing is the goal, everyone's just ready. Everyone just knows exactly what we're getting into. There's no reason to tune in for that because I've seen that before, right? You were doing that the other day and you're doing very good. You know, it's like, oh, that's great. You're doing very good. But ultimately speaking, even when I tune into other streams and I see a streamer playing not their usual jam, they're playing something weird, I go, whoa, they're playing something weird. Why is Max playing Donkey Kong Country? You know, why is Max playing Mario 64? That has always been the thing that pulls me in, where I'm like, oh, what the heck is that? Am I becoming a Mario 64, a Donkey Kong? No, I'm not. All I'm saying, I can't eat the same meal every single day, dude. And I gotta jump in and try something different every once in a while. I actually significantly enjoyed doing Rate the Super on weird anime games that I would never do. Why did that seem appealing to do Rate the Super on Naruto and JoJo? It was neat because I realized I have no clue what I'm about to expect, what I'm about to see. I don't even know, dude. With that being said, I knew that could actually make for interesting content that I'm not aware of this stuff. I know it exists, but what's about to hit me in the face is going to be genuinely different. It's going to be something that I am unexpecting. Is it going to hit for me? Is it not going to hit for me? I like to leave myself in a spot of like discovery. And I have found that my audience loves it when I discover stuff, when I leave myself open to new things. And sometimes I'm just not, man. Like sometimes I'm just wanting to sit in my cave and do my cave-like things, which just involve Marvel vs. Capcom and KI and Third Strike and FF7, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes like you leave the cave and you go try something different and people get curious. And to me, I have to leave myself open to it. All I gotta say is that that has been the way that I have avoided burnout, because I remember specifically disliking Third Strike, my favorite fighting game of all time, right? I remember specifically disliking it because I was competitively focused. I was only focused on the things that were the most challenging and most difficult and the hurdles that you had to get over. And at that time, it was exhausting because some of those hurdles were so insurmountable. They were so challenging to get over that you just don't even see how you can get over this hill. When you've reached a high level in a game, it can be very, very, very hard. So guess what I kind of do instead now? I allow myself to be bad, right? And I get it. Some people will be like, how are you saying you're bad, yada, yada. How can you say that because you have all this experience? Well, let me explain. I want to put myself in a situation of unknowing. I want to put myself in a moment where I'm playing a genre of a game, of a thing that I enjoy, but I want to allow myself to be bad. Not to be a bad guy, but to actually not have skill. Because I think the progress of acquiring skill is way more interesting than somebody only being good. I think watching somebody that puts themselves at a low level specifically and just jumps in and starts trying is easier to resonate with than only watching dude be god tier. And don't get me wrong, dude. I've ultimately realized this too. You can go to any fighting game channel. You can go watch Justin Wong be literal god tier at anything, like 100 different games. And it's just like, how is this guy so good at this? You can go watch any other fighting game that exists right now in the space and watch somebody be god tier. That type of stuff did not necessarily exist pre-pandemic. And that's where I realized that keeping up with that is going to be impossible. But for me, I found enjoyment going back and discovering stuff. So that was it. Show people what makes fighting games fun by showing the discovery process. Show people what makes this genre so impossibly comparable to anything else when you get to a point and you see something and it clicks and then you make the connection in your head and then you move forward. It's why I've always like to say, I really like that game, but I left that game when I liked it a lot. You know, there's parts of a fighting game where I'm like, I legit really enjoyed that one. But whether it's like a Street Fighter 6 or something like that, even the end of Street Fighter 5, I was really having fun with that game. But ultimately speaking, the focus was to keep me as happy as possible and to give myself little goals, like little tiny goals, like make sure I hit these combos, make sure I do this, clean up the gameplay, clean up the hit confirms, like all this kind of stuff that I know in my head. All of that shit, dude. And I have to remind everybody this. Everyone learns at a different pace, and it will take a lot of time. For me, like spending 5 straight days with a fighting game is a shit ton of time. And for others, not spending like 5 straight days with anything is going to throw them out. Like even if they're not around for a game for 2 to 3 days, I gotta warm up, man. I've been gone for a long time. And I'm like, bitch, I gotta warm up a year's worth of Rust. And it's kind of fun. I kind of like really enjoy warming up a 6 to 7, 8 month chunk of Rust on a certain game. I actually dig that, man. Ultimately speaking, I think that what I'm looking forward to in the future is keeping that variety as I reacclimate myself, and I'm going to take a quick break to find like new and unique things and games that I'm unfamiliar with, to find those moments of enjoyment, because that's where I feel my chat and my YouTube audience finds the most enjoyment. And it's also where I find true happiness. I'm not kidding you, man. Doing this for an extended long period of time, you'll absolutely develop weird relationships with these games, with your audience, like all this kind of stuff as you do this for as long as I have. And I have found little micro methods of remaining engaged, of like allowing myself to remain engaged. And that involves weird things like never really playing games off stream. Like the amount of times I've played games off stream for 15 years is insanely small, dude, compared to like all of that kind of stuff, because I want to save those reactions and moments for when I'm on stream. I feel like I am cheating if these cool things that can happen are being sacrificed to nothing, because my brain is messed up. I've been doing this in front of an audience for way too long, dude. All that kind of stuff has been just running through my head. All I gotta say is that I really appreciate everybody being here. I really appreciate the fact that so many people have been tuning in for as long as they have, and I have no intentions of stopping. I'm leaving for a bit, but I want to come back reinvigorated, because every single time I leave for like 5 to 6 days, I'll go 3 days in and I will realize like how insanely lucky I am. Like how I can't even imagine that I've been given this opportunity to do this and to share this with people, and anybody actually gives a shit to watch. So that happens after 3 days. I legit miss the office, and other days I'm like, oh, I gotta go back up in here now, man. I know it looks amazing, it does, but like you spend so much time in here, it's like, oof, man. I come back and I get legit homesick and stuff like that. So I'm gonna give myself a healthy like 10 days. It's the first time I've done that since Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out. I quite literally remember it because I was on vacation in the middle of nowhere, and I got a message that they patched Infinite and they patched Web Ball Reality Stone. Web Ball Reality Stone. They patched that for Spider-Man, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I wanted to make a video about it on vacation, but I didn't. Funny enough, I'm going on vacation again, and we fixed MVCI. So time is a flat circle, is all I'm telling you. Got another Marvel Infinite update that we made ourselves. I can't get away from it, man. It's gonna follow me wherever I go.